everyone. I have came all the way from Salem to share some scary stories for you on Halloween night. So, I hope all of you enjoy these stories I put together, and let's get into today's video. Alright, so before we get to today's story, I would like to introduce myself if you don't know who I am. My name is Winifred Sanderson. And yes, if you do recognize me, I am from Salem. Sadly, my sisters Sarah and Mary couldn't join me today. But with that aside, let's get today's story. So, our first horror story today is The Babysitter. Alright, let's get started. One night, a woman which had a job, she was a babysitter. She was called to do a house on Halloween night. So when she got there, it was just very calm. These kids that she was babysitting were just infants, so they really slept the whole time, so she just needed to watch after them. So all she had to do was just check on them every once in a while, but she did not do that. She just decided, not long after she came, that she'd get some food and sit down and watch some movies. So, not long after, she received a phone call from a number she was unfamiliar about. Up the phone, the caller said, "Have you checked on the children?" She just decided to take this message as a slight prank and just sit it down and continue on her movie. Alright, so 30 minutes later, she got a call from the same number. She picked it up. The caller said, "Have you checked on the children?" She decided to set it down and just thought it was teenagers just giving her a fright since it was Halloween night. So not long after, she received a third phone call. She picked it up. "Why haven't you checked on the children?" the caller said. Right then, the babysitter started to get scared. So she dialed 911. She wanted the cops to locate where this number was coming from. And the police said, "Ma'am, the number's coming from upstairs. It's in your house. Leave the house now." The babysitter got so scared that she decided to run up and check on the children. And once she got there, the children were dead. Alright, that is the first story, and we're going to move on to our second story. So our second story is called The Mask That Can Never Come Off. The story begins with a boy. On the day before Halloween, he's gone to many Halloween stores to find a costume, but he's never found one that he's really, really been attached to. Until one store he goes to. Now, he only has so much money of his savings that he can get. But the thing that catches his eye as soon as he comes in is this skeleton mask. He thinks it's the most unique mask in the world. And with his savings, he was able to purchase it perfectly, with just only a little bit coming back to him. So, with that, he waited till the next day to put it on because he wanted to be surprised by his outfit. So, when he put it on for Halloween, he thought he looked perfect. And when he went out to be surprised, he's never got so much attention. Everyone said his mask looked so magnificent, and that it was like the most perfect and realistic looking mask. He was so happy with all his compliments that he thought he had the best costume in the world. But when he got home that night is when things started to really get spiced up. That night, when the kid returned, when he tried to take off his mask, it wouldn't come off. It was as if it was as if he superglued the mask to his face. So the only thing that could come to his mind to help him get the mask off is take a warm shower to get the glue off. It eventually worked, and he took the mask off, and just decided to shrug things off that it could have just been something on the mask that he bought in the store that was supposed to come off. So when he went to bed, he slept perfectly and remembered to hang the mask on the doorknob. He woke up the next morning. It was a clear, beautiful morning. He looked to his side and seen the mask still hanging on the doorknob. He felt around his face trying to get the to clear his eyes, and he felt a weird feeling of plastic. He remembered it feeling as his mask was on, but he turned back again just to make sure his eyes weren't tricking him. It was still there. He decided to just think that he's just thinking like he's just dreaming, and he goes to the bathroom. And when he looks in the mirror, he sees that emerging from his face, it seemed to be the same mask was coming out of his skin and growing back. Thank you. That was a scary story. Alright, I guess we should get on to our notes stories. Is on it's a very new device that I've never heard of. It is called a phone. The story is Humans Can Lick Too. A girl is home alone one night for the first time. She has a dog to keep her company. The girl listens to the news about a serial killer on the loose. She goes to sleep after locking all the doors and windows before one which doesn't close. Suddenly, she's awakened by a dripping sound. Scared thoroughly, she tries to go back to sleep and puts her hand down on the bed to get a reassuring lick from her dog. As the dripping sound continues, she goes to check on the taps in the kitchen, bathroom, and everywhere else, but finds nothing, no source whatsoever. The dripping sound continues. The girl is too frightened to fall asleep, but her hand gets licked from under the bed. She slowly falls asleep from the safety of her dog licking her hand. In the morning, when she opens up the closet, she finds her dog killed and hanged upside down. The dripping sound was from the dog's blood. In the closet doors, she sees a message. Humans can lick too. So if you didn't understand that clearly, the serial killer that she heard about on the news was actually in her house. And it leaves us sort of on a quiet cliffhanger because we don't know what happens to the girl. But there's just a message there, and he killed her dog, leaving her with that suffrage that her dog was not there anymore. The next story I have is Aren't You Glad You Didn't Turn on the Lights? The story goes, two best friends, Meg and Samantha, live in the same room at the college dormitory. Samantha goes out for a party with her date while Meg stays back to study for her upcoming midterm exams. When Samantha returns from the party, lights are all turned off. She does not switch the lights on as her friend is asleep, and she did not want to disturb her. Early in the morning, Sam tries to wake Meg up to discuss the exams. As Meg doesn't respond, Sam hesitantly uncovers her face to wake her up. She gets horrified to discover Meg's face turned black and blue and falls on the floor in a state of shock. She observes that Meg's study table is all messed up and finds a note on the wall. Aren't you glad you didn't turn on the lights? The murderer must have very much been in the room when Sam came in the previous night. The third story I have is actually from a real book novel. Spiders in the Hairdo. Whew, I wouldn't like that in my hairdo. My hairdo is big and I like to keep it that way. Dolores, a teenage girl, is living on her own for the first time after graduation. She does not have enough money, but makes sure to save some bucks to maintain her giant beehive hairdo. She does everything to maintain the hairdo as instructed by the hairstylist. But one day as she wakes up with a terrible itch on her scalp. Whew, I hate when that happens. Dolores tries to cure it, but realizes the spider bite is causing the itch. So she calls an exterminator to kill all the spiders and insects in her room. But her pain does not reduce, and visits to a doctor. The medication given by the doctor fails, and fails once more. Frustrated, she rushes to her stylist. The salon is full and the hairstylist asks Dolores to wait. She pushes a lady out of the salon chair and asks for immediate attention. When the stylist begins to unwrap the beehive hairdo, black widow spiders start crawling down her face. And soon the salon is filled with spiders moving slowly in every direction. Everyone in the salon starts rushing out while Dolores is dead in her chair. The stylist is horrified to see the beehive hairdo fall on the floor and tiny black widow spiders coming out of the hatched eggs in the scalp of Dolores. The scalp of Dolores was half eaten by the black widow spiders. Whew! I like to keep my spiders in my house, so do my sisters. We like to play, and they also are very useful to make potions. The next we have is called Children of the Corn. Children of the Corn. Some kind of children in the corn? I would love those children to keep my youth, to keep my beauty, and everything else. But I'm getting distracted. Children of the Corn. A quarrelsome couple is driving towards California to find a better paying job for Bert, the husband. While driving, they accidentally run over a boy who appeared out of nowhere. They blame each other for the accident and finally decide to check the body. While examining the boy, they are stunned to discover that his throat was slit already and was bleeding to death. On further investigation, Vicky, the wife, finds a strange crucifix made of corn husks in the boy's bag. The couple argues over where to take the body, and they decide to drive towards Gatlin, which is just down the road. Gatlin is an isolated community and abandoned ghost village. They drive further into the ghostly place and see that the calendar and gas prices are all outdated. Bert stops at the vehicle and at a church to go and find someone. Vicky starts screaming for help when she sees many children dressed in Amish clothing heading towards the car. The children pull Vicky out of the car and start beating her mercilessly. When Bert intervenes, Vicky escapes and goes missing. The sun sets and the ghostly place turns very dark. Bert goes and hides in a cornfield. As the daylight breaks, he sees Vicky tied to a cross with barbed wires and her eyes ripped out. I would have used those eyes for my potion. For my potion of... Oh, I must not say. There are no animals or weeds in the cornfield and nobody to take care of the cornfields, but the cornfield is still blooming. Children of the Corn find Bert. A giant red-eyed monster ruthlessly kills Bert. The children belong to a cult that worships he who walks behind the rose. The monster who killed Bert. And the last story I have to tell you folks before I go is The Black Cat. The narrator and his wife live in a house with their pet cat named Pluto. The couple is very fond of their large black cat, and Pluto too loves the narrator. Their close friendship lasts many years until one day the narrator hangs the cat under the influence of alcohol. Don't like black cats, but I had one. He tried to take away my target. Thackeray. Thackeray Binks. He was a troublesome cat. Disturbed on seeing this, the narrator regrets his actions. One fine evening, he finds a similar cat in a bar and brings that home. The new cat is very similar to Pluto, except for minor differences. Whenever the man sees the new cat, he is reminded of Pluto and is filled with a feeling of guilt. One day, when the man and his wife were walking towards the cellar, the cat gets under the feet of his master and he trips down the stairs. In a fit of rage, he tries to kill the new cat too, but his wife stops him, and in this process gets killed accidentally. He hides the body inside a wall in the house, and when the police investigation begins, he takes careful steps. On the day of closing the murder mystery, the police hear a loud crying sound from one of the walls. The police start breaking down the walls in that room and discover a rotting body. The exact body of his dead wife. Beside the dead body is a cat, grinning and meowing happily. His mistakes really got to him. I hope you all enjoyed today's video. And I hope all of you all have a wonderful Halloween. I wish you the best. I hope you get most of the candy. And I hope that I don't target you. I won't put a spell on you if you're careful enough. The last thing I have for today is a rhyme that we actually made up. We had quite fun with it. 'Twas the night before All Hallows Eve, and all through the house, all the creatures of the night were creeping and crawling about. Oh.